The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on live shows.
I went after what I wanted. The money came later.
Wait, really? Was super intricate about, the anatomy of a firearm and how to...
Yeah, and he credited the training that he received there with helping save his life, which is...
I don't know, man. I think it'll be your cup of tea.
It's not gonna happen that way again.
This is the After Action Project, and we're bringing you the student's perspective on firearms training. This is the podcast that takes you inside the eyes of the student and the mind of the instructor, from practical to tactical, medical to legal, and everything in between. If there's a course for it, this is your fly-on-the-wall After Action destination. This is the After Action Project.
Tonight, we're going to be talking shop with Jerah Hutchins of Clearing the Chamber and Kevin Dixie of No Other Choice Training. We're going to talk about an industry event that No Other Choice Training and Kevin put on about a month ago, and then the plans that they have for it next year. And if time allows, and if you guys are interested, we'll talk about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff for opening a gun range. Before we get into that, Kevin, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners? Tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you got into the training industry and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I do appreciate it. And Jerah, thank you for making the introduction.
You got it.
As myself, as far as getting into training, it's a little bit multifaceted. I'll try to make it 3 minutes or less, the quick, long elevator speech. So I come from the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri, where firearms were always indicated as being bad things. Weren't supposed to be around them. So only criminals and cops had them. Long story short, after coming up and growing up, I realized that wasn't necessarily true. But I took a job at the St. Louis City Police Department in our prisoner processing division. And during my time with the department, obviously learned several things about firearms. Kind of sort of became addicted to them from that aspect, but not just the gun going pow, more of the mechanics, why it did what it did, how it's doing it. Why are you telling me to do these things as a 21-year-old kid? So from there, I just kept expanding and growing, did various things, different training opportunities, different professional careers with guns, executive protection at a local level and stuff like that. Just really had fun and decided that I wanted to make sure that people could protect themselves from the real walking creatures that we have in the world. My job was to deal with some of the worst, from murderers to rapists, serious assaulters, you name it. I dealt with them, robbers, drug traffickers, et cetera, et cetera. So from having to deal with those people every day and actually seeing how they operate a network inside of confined walls, I wanted to make sure that the good people that were outside realized A, what existed, and B, knew how to handle those things, those people if they encountered them. So really jumped off into the training world. So I learned for probably a good 5 years before I ever decided to teach one person one thing. I really wanted to know it. I wouldn't even teach you how to hold the gun until I was confident that I could teach you 1,000 times more than that. So started just teaching people, a lot of police cadets that weren't confident going into the academy about, how they use a gun, and started just teaching moms and dads, plumbers, carpenters, just how to hold a gun and be safe with a gun in their household. And from there, it just ballooned. I had people requesting me to actually start training. So I decided to LLC a business. No Other Choice Firearms Training was born. And No Other Choice stands, philosophy behind No Other Choice is, before you ever place a negative impact on another human life, even if they deserve it, make sure you're at the point of no other choice, as long as it's not allowing you or another innocent person to get hurt. Extend God's grace and mercy to others as you would want to have it extended to you. But if they push and they get to the point where somebody's going to get hurt, then we respond with positive, effective violence to neutralize the threat. And from there, it just ballooned up. And I'm also a community activist. So I've been doing community work and mentorship for longer than I've been shooting guns. So helping people, I run a program called Aiming for the Truth. We do travel around with Aiming for the Truth. We'll be in Phoenix, Arizona in September at AZ Firearms training. AZ Firearms Shop doing that training. But Aiming for the Truth is essentially a community outreach program that tries to kill violence from its roots. So we have people with guns guns are sports. Guns are fun. They're not always thought of for self-defense because that's just one of the things they do. However, when we think about self-defense, cool, we got people and we're teaching people how to defend themselves against criminals. How do we actually eliminate the crime, though? So what if I could tell you as an individual, you have a gun, but what if I can rub this magic ball and make sure that the person that was going to rob you in Walmart's parking lot never showed up, right? So in Aiming for the Truth, what we do is try to eliminate violence at its roots. And we do that by assisting people with employment and employment skills, addressing mental illness, getting fathers back involved with the children in their homes, teaching people communication skills, more verbal judo, so they're not responding to violence, dealing with young men, giving them an outlet to actually express themselves and teach them that violence is not the answer in certain situations, getting kids in different programs outside of the norm. So exposing kids to something as simple as the Boy Scouts, right? Just getting them to see something different, getting them outside in the woods, giving them life skills and giving them the biggest thing is giving them someone else to look up to. A lot of times people look up to movie stars and, athletes and things like that. And that's awesome. And they should aspire to have that level of success. However, if I can convince you that I can come from a neighborhood like you, no matter what poor neighborhood it is, it can be a trailer park or it can be the inner city, doesn't matter. But if I can convince you that I can climb out of that, be a respectable human being, have a job, have a great family and things like that, then maybe we can give you those assets and change what the level of success looks like for you, because it's more obtainable, then you're more likely to go after it if you believe it's something you can achieve. So being a good positive role model and example. So you'll see me doing things like going into elementary schools. Obviously, I'm not in the elementary schools talking about, but we're there giving kids pizza parties, awarding them for having the most improved grades, supporting the teachers and what they need. If they need somebody to come in and be a positive male role model for the kids, I'm there to do that and just help around. I'll go pick up trash, whatever it is. So that allows me to help people refrain from violence and actually get these people on the good side of it. And then actually, once we teach people about the equity in their lives and how to establish that equity and what they're worth, then we talk about the insurance program to that equity, and that being the Second Amendment. So that being understanding that now you value yourself, let's teach you how to protect yourself and the things that you value as you go after them in life. So we're killing violence from one end through community outreach work, doing God's work. And then at the other end, we're teaching good people how to deal with the folks that just persist on being violent and causing them harm. And that's who I am and what I do in a nutshell.
I love it. And I think I'd imagine there's more stuff that you're involved with, but that's awesome to see a member of the firearms industry really taking a multi-directional approach at solving what most people look at the gun for, right? It's a tool of saving a life. So it's always refreshing to see somebody that's willing to say, well, before the gun even comes into play, can we head off the violence and prevent it, with other means? Jerah, I want to talk about this training event, but before we do that, because I think it's going to be a great show, and I don't know if we'll have many opportunities to come back to it. Jerah, remind our viewers who you are. We had you on. We were talking about your Texas License to Carry course not too long ago, but you've been involved with some other stuff in the firearms community, both on the retail side, the training side, and the advocacy side. Remind our viewers who you are and what you've been up to.
Oh, I've just been drinking bourbon since then.
Nice.
I mean,
that's a lot of bourbon.
I live in Dallas, Fort Worth, and I build gun ranges for a living. So I'm on my fifth one here in Texas. So pretty excited about that. And I have a passion for that because I want to give people a place to practice. I think one of the most tired arguments I hear from anti-gunners is, people don't practice. They're more of a danger, than they are, they're more of a hindrance than they are a help. And, if that's going to ring true, then we need to, have a solution. And the solution is give people more places to practice, get them education, get them a calendar, make it convenient for them. And that's kind of what I'm out doing. And then I have a nonprofit called WADE. It's the Women's Awareness and Defense Endeavor. So I raise money and then I go out and I teach single mothers and low-income women how to defend themselves with their minds and their mouths and their bodies and their guns.
That's awesome. Let's talk about this train and learn event that No Other Choice Firearms Training put on. up there in St. Louis, Missouri, and how you became involved in that, Jerah. But before we get into that, Kevin, what was the purpose behind the Train and Learn event, and who was it for?
Please. Yeah. So the Train and Learn event. So I'm sitting back, and I have to talk to you about the genesis of it. So I consider myself very fortunate, very blessed, and humbled because of my mission and the way that I decided to come onto the scene a few years ago, came on pretty strong. All right. And that drew a lot of attention from a lot of different areas. So within the last few years, and if you think back to like the person trying to make a difference in whatever they do, right, whatever their particular fight is, I jumped on the scene immediately, was in magazines, televisions, national debate stages, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And being able to work with right away, getting corporate sponsors involved, because with the Aiming for the Truth program, another thing that I tell the 2A community is great for my sponsors to back that. And I won't work with a company if they do not back Aiming for the Truth. That's a criteria. And one great thing about that is I'm able to put the gun community in front of people without selling them anything gun related. It just shows that these entities value you and who you are. So because of all that, I was able to get a lot of places. Thanks, man. Able to get a lot of places really quick and hang out with some of the coolest people in the industry and do a lot of good work. What I noticed was a lot of people that are also trying in their own way, their own unique ways, is that they just didn't have the same opportunities I did. Now, some of it is just my natural fight to go after what I want. A lot of it is being at the right place at the right time. So it's a good mix, right? And these guys and girls would start asking me questions like, how do I do this? And how do I do this? And how do I do this? And I'm like, some things I had to answer for, but I'm not an expert at everything by no stretch of the imagination. But I do know a lot of people that are great at a lot of different things. So then the next complaint was, well, hey, I want to go to this show or this industry event or this thing and this or this thing. And sometimes you smack people and tell them they're being lazy. And other times they actually had valid concerns. They weren't invited to, for lack of better, the cool kids show. They couldn't go. Like they can't go. Right. So it's not that I wouldn't go. It's not that I wouldn't spend money on travel. Like I'm literally not allowed to go. I'm like, OK, that could be a concern. All right. Well, how can we bring it to you then and cut the excuses? Because if I can help people be stronger in what they do, involving civil rights and freedom, well, then the stronger we all are. Right. So I decided that we're going to cut the excuses. I don't like seeing a problem and not addressing it. I'd say that if you see it, then you're just an observer. If you want to do something about it, you become a change agent. So that's what I decided to do. So I called up a bunch of my smart friends, people way smarter than me, and said, hey, other people need to know what you know. You told me about it, but I need you to tell other people. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So I decided to put on an event where you can learn. I'm also, well, you know what? Here, guys, here's where we're not being honest about a lot of stuff. Social media has spoiled us to the point that when it comes to gun handling, a few edits and you look like you really know what you're doing. Right. So, and it's not about if you're an expert at what you're doing, but just do you have the basic fundamentals? Like, can you pick up a gun and get a good firm two-hand grip? Like, it's very simple stuff. I'm not talking about heavy running a gun in here, just very simple stuff. Because what we also need, I don't need anybody providing the people that don't like what we do any more ammunition to speak. I don't need you getting out there doing a crazy unsafe video. And next thing you know, your video is what we're arguing about for the next 2 weeks, trying to get them to calm down. Right. So how can we actually help you learn as well how to handle guns? And if you're already good at that, how can we just help you be better? Right. How can we mix that in with you learning how to produce your content, how to edit your videos, how to present information in a non-political way, because I think that's the best way to get it out there, how to present information in that manner, how to communicate with your audience effectively, how to grow your audience, how to manage your social media, how to understand websites, how to understand the command of media, how to debate people on a big stage, how to compose your articles, just everything involving it, right? And obviously, I don't have all those answers. So that's why I brought my friends along. And then I brought in great trainers. So we had Ken Scott with Perfectus Group out of Atlanta, Georgia. We had Dustin Pluth, Springfield competition shooter. We had Corinne Mosier, with Shield Maiden, and also with everybody. I mean, she's a turn tactical competition shooter, nationally ranked, one of the best doing it. And then we brought myself in. And what I also wanted to show during that is from our speakers that were representing different manufacturers, different parts of the industry. What I also wanted people to make sure of is that we showed women as part of the educational process, that women could help you grow. Because we sit back and we watch stuff and you see things like, yeah, we need more ladies in the 2A. And I'm like, yeah, we do. Just like we need more minorities, no doubt. Keep rolling. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I saw a lot of people weren't looking at the women as educators. And I was like, yeah, we're going to change that. So we made sure that we had Carrie Sloan speaking about activism and how to get into activism. Obviously, Corinne Mosier was out there teaching people. We even had ladies like Jerah dropping nuggets of information on the side to individuals. We had, and then we had manufacturers coming in. We had big names too. So you had Curtis with VSO. He came in. We had the guys.
He was awesome.
Yeah, Curtis was awesome. His presentation was ridiculous.
Yeah, he's great.
We had David Workman with Proper, which is one of my sponsors, coming to talk to you about how do you even approach me for a sponsorship deal? Educating you, like, this is what the industry wants. You guys want to work with us. You're doing it wrong. Here's how to do it right? Stop walking up saying I'm Johnny Come Lately, the newest, the best thing to come on YouTube in the last 6 months. Send me $3,000 worth of gear and I'll make you a cool company. No, kid. They don't. It's not the way it operates.
They're
right?
already a cool company.
Right, exactly. They don't need you. So educating everybody like that. So even down to your sponsorship deals, how do you get them? And what are the companies? What are they looking at? Right. So you just see that inside information and put you in a room with them. For you can hear the presentations and ask them. We had Dustin Plouffe speaking about how to manage those relationships when you get them, like how to keep the companies happy and what is your responsibility. So David Workman, Dustin Plouffe, we had TJ with Tactical Shit. He's right here in the St. Louis area. As a friend of mine, I had him come down. Obviously, TJ is a very successful millionaire off of media marketing and running his business. So he came down, shared information about being a 2A ambassador and how to run your business, even talked about some marketing things, how to handle negative press, turn it into positive press. Kevin Reichert, who's been everywhere from Funker Tactical to gun magazines and all over the place behind the scenes, doing different things, come in and talk to you about how to manage yourself better in the internet spectrum. So just a bunch of stuff. Then we had myself speaking, of course, and I probably forgot somebody, but we had a bunch of, and Ken Scott spoke as well about how to be a better teacher and a better instructor and how to produce content that actually beneficial to your partners. So a lot of education, a whole lot of education, a lot of training, and then a lot of those behind the scenes, on the side, bourbon hour type conversations where you can build and network and teach people how to network. Like, how do you actually walk up to somebody and network with them? You'll be surprised how many people do not know how to do that, right? But let's teach
At the end of the day, it was really, not to interrupt, but it was literally a one-stop shop. So if you were just a person that was sitting around going, I really like guns, I would love to be a social media influencer, you would literally have learned everything that you needed to know to, at minimum, get started and at maximum be successful. From gun skills, content creation, marketing, activism, what to share, when to share it, how to manipulate social media, everything you can really possibly think of. And the reason I loved that Curtis's presentation is because the dude's a scientist. So he was like, this is how you tell what's fake and what's not fake and how you tell quality from trash. It was just so awesome. So amazing.
So that's what the event was, and Jerah attended it. And thank you for coming, Jerah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, she attended it, and it was good. So in summary, she summed it up better than I can. I'm long-winded, but that was essentially what it was. It was good. So we did it one time. We started with the idea of doing that for 10 people, right? And that 10 people ballooned originally all the way up to a total of 15. I'm like, all right, 15 went to 25. I'm like, okay, we're done. Ken Scott was like, no, we're not. 25 went to 40. All right, we're sold out. We're done. I maxed it at 40. 50 people showed up, not including the staff. So we had roughly around 58 to 60 people running around, sharing information, learning from each other. It's going to have some growth, right? You do something, you see, okay, we can improve there. Hence bringing Jerah on, for she can use her skill sets to make things better. We can improve here, we can improve there. But overall, it was a huge success. And I just wanted to create a platform where people understood and they knew, whether you are an influencer with millions of followers, or you're just John or Jane Doe with 10, you're just as important, right? As long as you're trying, because you can reach 100 people I might not ever see. One of those 100 people could become a politician. That politician writes laws, right? So how can we help you be stronger and be better? And that's what we did. So that's what the event, that's how it was born. I think it was a great success. I think, like you said, when we were talking before the show, that it's over a month later, and you're still seeing content rolling out from it. And you will for probably the next 6 months to a year, because that was the goal, for you to leave with at least 6 months minimum of content to put out. That way you have it. All right. So what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've seen a bunch of folks that I follow talking about it, and through that I've been introduced to some other folks and some other good people in the industry to start following them. And it's awesome, because I think with all the training that everybody talks about, and gun owners should go out and receive, how many people in our industry are actually doing the same for their personal and professional development? And I think a critical point, I don't know if you mentioned it and I missed it, but is that, these influencers, they are reaching people, and they are impacting lives. And there are people out there making decisions on how they're going to protect themselves and their family based on what these folks are doing. And it's awesome. I don't think I've ever heard of a class, like a professional development course in the industry, where you say, okay, well, let's get 10 folks, and then you've maxed that out times 5. And I believe you'll probably do the same thing next year. I know you were talking about 75 folks or so. I'd honestly be surprised if between you and Jerah, it was less than 100 that you were able to convince to.
Yeah.
Man, it was so cool, because it was all different skill sets. It was, we had some really kind of fun draw from holster competition stuff. And there were people there that had minimal gear. They really didn't know, what to, they knew what to bring. Kevin had a pretty comprehensive packing list and, told you what to bring, but there were people there that just didn't have some of that stuff, that were really honestly just content with sitting on the sidelines and just watching the more advanced people kind of do what they do. And that was really cool, but that really turned into, those people with lower experience learning and borrowing other people's gear. And it was all like, hey girl, try this, or hey guy, try this, and it was just a really cool, eclectic mix of people, some people you knew, and you saw them in the news, or you see them on social media all the time, sharing stuff, and they have tens of thousands of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers. And some people they're just people that have, 260 followers on Instagram, and they just wanted to be there to do it. And what was really interesting in the backstory is that, so Kevin and I met because we did a podcast together. We did Sean's podcast, the We Like Shooting podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And we were both guests on the show together, and we had a really great time on that show. And then we met face to face at SHOT Show, where we were, kind of talking about just kind of getting to know each other and figuring out what our different advocacies were, and, how we could help each other. And then, he had put some stuff out about aiming with the truth. And I think how you really get people to know that you're serious about what you do is when you put your money where your mouth is, and you say, I'm going to financially support what you're doing because I think it's really great. And I'm going to throw $50 at it, or $100 at it, or whatever, And so then we just really kind of just built this really good friendship over social media. And so, he threw this event out there, and I wanted to go no matter what, and I think that one of the cycles that we have to break in the Second Amendment community is there's women that just won't go do this stuff because they don't want to be the only woman there. Like they don't want to be hanging out with a bunch of dudes, that whose skill levels might be better than theirs. Like they don't want that kind of intimidation. So as women, we really have to start putting ourselves out there, and we really have to start going to this stuff. We have to start saying, honey, you got the kids this weekend, I'm going to do some gun training, or let's get a babysitter and go together. Like you really have to start working your time management to fit this into your lifestyle, because it is so much fun. And the people that you meet are so incredible and so amazing. And you learn so much, and you come back with just a whole new wealth of knowledge on a variety of subjects. And so, if you're a woman and you're listening to this podcast right now, you need to start looking at plane tickets. you need to start making some plans for Memorial Weekend next year, because this is where it's at. This is absolutely 100% where it's at. And you're just going to come back a whole different person.
Kind of in that vein, what are some obstacles that y'all think that some like women and minorities need to overcome within the firearms training industry? Not necessarily minorities, but when specifically like females, and we see a lot of females getting into the firearms industry via the Gun Bunny platform, if that makes sense, right? And and then we start to see products and negative training come out of that. You guys understand where I'm trying to go with that?
Yeah. I know exactly where you're coming from, and I'll go real quick because I know Kevin has a lot to say about this.
You're the woman, though. I'm going to be quiet.
But the thing is, and this is what I try to teach women all the time, and I try to hit it home, is I'm like, quit buying these bullshit products that are marketed specifically for women, because 90% of them suck, right? Now, if it's a clothing product, that's a little different, right? We wear different clothes than guys. So if you're looking, if you want really great concealed carry leggings, well, go to alexoathletica.com and buy Amy's leggings, because they're amazing and they're for women, right? But you don't have to buy guns that are specifically for women unless you're just into colors, and that's great. Be into colors. I don't care about that. But don't think that you can't use the same, like 90% of the same gear that dudes use. I mean, you just can. I made I went to Ray's Sporting Goods in Dallas before I went to this event and made my battle belt for under $150. And I just walked into Ray's and they were so nice. So don't think that people aren't going to be nice to you. Maybe sometimes they're not, but that's a huge stigma that I just don't know is super relevant anymore. Now, what you do get are men in gun stores that will underestimate your knowledge that you might have, right? But I don't walk into a gun store, and I haven't in years, walk into a gun store and somebody call me baby or sweetheart or try to tell me I don't know what I'm, talking about, or try to, give me a 38 snub nose. That's just not something that happens a lot anymore. I think we're past that. But the thing that I want to hit home for women is you need to start going to stuff and stop worrying about your skill set, because most of the people that are doing this now really do want to help you. And so if you find a good female trainer, that's great. Let her get you to a level. But at some point, once you're out of the introductory phase, once you're out of intro to handgun, once you've got your license to carry or whatever, if you want to do that with a female trainer, that's great. But if you don't start training with men, you're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. You're never going to get any real world training. You're never going to understand it fully, because there has to be that male to female dynamic, because 9 times out of 10, your aggressor is going to be a man. And you have to understand what that feels like. And furthermore, you have to feel safe around men in general and men that you train with, because they're going to take you to the next level, right? I save marriages one class at a time. I can't tell you how many husbands will come to me and go, please get it in my wife's head that this is reality. She's hearing it from me and I'm just a stupid, overprotective husband. Like, you need to tell her that this is a skill that she needs, because she's depending on me too much. Husbands get it now. They get it that they can't be around. Fathers get it now. They know that they can't be around 24/7, and that we as women have to step up, because at the end of the day, we're protectors too. We have to protect ourselves. We have to protect our babies. And so we have to take this stigma that we need to be self-conscious about our skill level and throw it out the window and dive our asses in there and get it done.
I love it.
Well. All righty. So if I know you said, this particular thought will be about just women. So it's a couple of different things. I co-sign what she said, and I really like the go out there and get different real world experiences, because although there are great women that do stuff at a very, very high level, but even they go out and mix it up with the boys. And just like I tell the boys, you need to mix it up with the girls, because guess what? If you really get into the mess, let's play your favorite zombies might attack situation, right? But if something really, really happens and you get into the mess, it's not going to be, okay, all the women on that side and all the guys on this side. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be a collaboration of people getting it together. If you are out with your spouse, you're going to need your spouse to be a part of that fight, just like you are. And I know couples where the women carry the gun.
And common messages.
Oh, yeah. There are couples where women carry guns and the guys don't. You know, I know it's a couple of couples where the woman is pro-gun and the guy is, I don't know, but I let her do her thing. So co-sign everything she said. The other thing is, you know, we use social media a little bit better. So for women that are scared to reach out or think, and I know it's a dynamic I will never understand, as sexy as I am, I probably won't understand all the harassment that comes with being a woman on social media, right?
Oh, Jesus.
That being said, if you have a question, ask another woman what professional that they went to that treated them with respect. Slide into the DMs for another reason. You know, maybe try the instructor out. Send a message and ask, hey, what is this? The other thing is this. You know, you have to start thinking about training more than just, I'm going to go out and be embarrassed. You have to start thinking about training, just like you think about eating healthy, just like you think about working out. This is a part of sustaining my life or extending my life. And on top of that, it can be a really, really good time. And don't think that women in particular haven't been pushing for, in this industry, pushing for equality, if you will, or been pushing for the opportunity to be treated with equal respect. I'm not saying there's not more to do, but I'm saying that there have been strides made. So with that being said and understood, you're not going to necessarily always be harassed when you walk somewhere and be like, oh, I'm a girl and I want to train. And get that out of your mind that you need to be treated different. Now, that's another thing people don't like hearing. So at the Train and Learn event, it was a question asked about, well, we were doing a demonstration. It was like, well, how do you teach a woman how to do that? I'm like, the hell do you mean? You do it just like the men. A fighter is a fighter. Right? Besides maybe some leggings and, you know, a corset that might fit a little bit different. A fighter is a fighter. Gender does not matter. You fight.
You're exactly right. The training doesn't necessarily have to be super different. I mean, it does a little bit because women are typically smaller, right? And so sometimes that has to be taken into consideration. But really, the training doesn't have to be different. It's the mindset that's different. You have to convince a woman differently that she needs this training versus a man.
That is true.
That's the difference.
I think, you know, speaking of that, I think what we probably should do, and I love them, don't get me wrong, I do love it when I see like a class of all women. Like, I like it because I just like to see people training. So whatever gets you in the door, gets you in the door. At the same time, next time, I would just challenge this. Next time, any woman, if you hear the sound of my voice, next time you go out to the range and you learn something, I don't care what skill level your brother, your uncle, your boyfriend, your husband, whatever he has. Next time you go out and take a class, remember what you learned, you know, jot and take notes. Please do. If for any student, take notes. Then I want you to go out with that individual that's a male that's closest to you. And I want you to go out to the range with him. And I want you to instruct him on just maybe one or two things you learned. Right. And it's to build up your confidence that you can teach and be equal to a man. And we just got to get women to the point that they believe that. But I think also a good thing about that, besides the gun bunny stuff, to address that point, that's kind of on us. And when I say us, I mean the guys. Right. So I don't share. If you look at my social media, I do not share gun bunny content. I don't comment on their content. I just don't. Now, if you happen to be a pretty woman that's into guns, I don't consider you a gun bunny. Your gun bunnies are easy to spot, right? They're really easy to spot. But I won't share. If Jerah puts up a post and I like the post and she might have on a pretty outfit in the post, fine, I'll share the post. It's probably the message more so that I'm sharing than anything. But if all you want is to be seen, then I think we're sending a message to other women that this is what you're going to be treated like when you walk in the industry. No, you can be pretty, you can be beautiful, and you can be respected, and you can have on clothes when you share content. Like, this is how I feel. So I don't if we would share more people like Jerah, if we would share more people like Corinne, Julie Gollop, if we would just share more content like that, then maybe we can change the minds of women about what we expect to see or what we respect when we see it. And I don't think gun bunnies, and if women could ask more guys actually in the industry, like not the dudes that just sit on the outside and observe. I'm talking about the guys that are actually in it. None of us really like gun bunnies. None of us are really swayed by that. You know, we kind of look at that like, all right, I would much rather have the farmer mom or the lady from Walmart come out to my range than somebody who only comes out there to get attention. Somebody who only picks up the gun because they know people like guns and they're going to look at me because I'm holding a gun. We don't need that. And the last time we had that, and I know there's nothing they can do about it, but it was, what was it, 2 years at SHOT Show ago? You had Gun Bunny who was in there talking anti-gun crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So stop tripping off beauty. Share, but we need to share more content from women and ladies that are fighting for the mission, fighting for the passion. And look, if it doesn't matter what they look like, okay, but if they're pretty, great, that's an extra bonus. But I won't give a damn what you look like. If you're saying the right things and sharing the right imagery and trying to get people motivated, I'll share your stuff. So
it's like they're fun to look at, but you don't want to shoot with most of them.
Oh, hell no.
You'd miss a toe.
Yeah, I think it does a more negative for the industry if there are women that are potentially on the fence about dipping their foot in the water, and they assume that's because the gun industry has some pretty big stereotypes to get over. It's the old guys club, right? It's the old man's club. Like the typical gun owner looks like I'm going to look in probably another 5 years or so, like the old white guy that only believes in double barrel shotguns for duck hunting. And then they see, okay, well, the women that are in the industry, right, they look like this certain type of way, and those are the only people that guys are letting in. But to flip it back over to the train and learn event, what do y'all think the biggest misconception that some of the participants had coming into it? And that could be on any of the topics or lessons that you guys, covered. Was it some of the social media stuff? Or was it something that was directly related to actual like firearms instruction?
No, Jerry, you attended, you go.
What the biggest misconception was, gosh, I don't know. I think that I don't know that this event really led or left room for any misconceptions, because I don't really think that there's anything like it out there. So you didn't really have any conceptions to miss. It was really, if anything, nobody really knew what to expect as far as that goes. You know what I mean? I think, and if I had to guess one thing, I would probably tell you that nobody had any clue how hard we were going to get worked.
Yeah.
I mean, Saturday, we were on the range for 13 hours. I mean, we were on range for 13 hours, okay, from the ass crack of dawn until the sun went down. And in the middle of the night, like into the night, we started doing car stuff. There was a vehicle shoot demonstration that we got to watch, which was super fantastic. Dustin Pluth and Corinne Mosier, Kevin and Ken kind of did that. There was a really cool, Ken did an awesome little workshop. Like it was like a 30-40 minute workshop on like car cover and why when you're a civilian, it's different than the military. And that was awesome, because a lot of times what civilians will do is they want to train like the military. And the military trains for shit that civilians will never probably have to even encounter most of the time. And so is it fun to do and like play pretend and play G.I. Joe or whatever? Yeah. But that's not really anything that you're ever probably going to encounter. And so it was really cool for somebody who had that deep military law enforcement background to explain to you the difference. And this is why military people take cover from cars this way, and this is why civilians should do it this way. And guess what? Your car doesn't stop bullets, like, ever. Okay? There's a very limited amount of space that you can hide behind on a vehicle and actually have cover versus concealment, And that's another thing a lot of people learned was cover versus concealment, but I digress. The point is that the event was so broad and multifaceted that you learned things, you encountered things, you said things, you absorbed things that you never really even thought you were going to encounter or that would even correlate to your training. So it was really, really cool to just kind of have that time, and that sort of camaraderie with people that live across the nation that have different backgrounds and different stories than you. I mean, there were women there were minority women there were Black people, there were country people, there were city people. I mean, it's like there were gingers, everybody was out there. You had a dad whose daughters survived Parkland because he trained them. You had people with military and law enforcement backgrounds. There was a woman walking around on a freaking cane. She didn't give a shit. She was on a cane getting that work in. Okay. And you had competition shooters, and then you had people that had no skills at all. And it did not matter. It was just a culmination of a love for freedom and teaching people how to convey that on social media platforms and how to effectively train.
That's awesome. So, Kevin, I don't know if that was probably a terrible question. So if you've thought of any misconceptions that some folks have, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, let's talk about as the organizer, what was your favorite takeaway from the event?
Well, I will say that there was actually one misconception that I think not all. There were a few people, and I can say that there was a misconception because they said it to me, but it was something they put on themselves. They said it to me as individuals, and they self-corrected. So a few people came in with the idea that this was going to make them successful with no effort behind it. If I come, I meet all the cool kids, and then the cool kids say I'm cool, and then I blow up. I'm like, yeah, okay. Right. But we talked through that, though. We had a very mature conversation through that. And they admitted, they admitted that you laid the groundwork for me to do the hard work and gave the skill sets and a leg up and put me in a room with the people that can make it work, instead of me walking in with the attitude, oh, I'm in the room with the people that know it, and then I'm automatically going to get it. They're automatically going to say I'm included, and then that makes me a big deal. And they quickly were like, oh, you guys are just like giving the study guide. Like, yeah, like nobody's going to make you a big deal. And I share with people like, yeah, I run around with some of the biggest names there are, but I don't look at them and say, hey, make me big. I do work, right? And because I do work, it's what pays off. So that was the one thing that a few people pulled me to the side and said, I came in with this idea, man, but quickly learned that I need to get up off my butt and I need to put in the effort. But thanks for giving me the study guide to do it. So that was cool. As far as the event itself goes, the biggest takeaway that I had, I'm gonna be honest with you. The biggest takeaway that I got outside of what you came to learn and stuff like that was probably the most important thing to me outside of the event itself. There was a picture, and it didn't hit me till we took the picture. And when we took the picture, it really got to me. We took a picture outside of the classroom portion at this resort, right? And we took the photo out on this like miniature putt-putt golf course. And they had the drone up, we're taking pictures. Everybody's having a good time being goofy. And the photo got snapped. All right. And, you're walking away. And I stopped to make sure everybody was going back in, like talking to people. And then I stopped and I looked, and one of the camera guys came up to me with the picture, and he was like, "Yo, look at this. This looks good." And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking up at the crowd, and I'm looking back down at the photo, and I said, "Damn it, if this isn't what America looks like. Look at all these different people." Right. And to Jerah's point, it was so I am a person that tells everybody, because I do a lot of work in civil rights and I do talk about the struggles of minorities in this country, people sometimes get confused to think that I'm narrow-minded. I'm not. I'm anything but. And I think that event was a great testament to that because, man, it was beautiful just to see the diversity. And I'm talking from gender to lifestyle to, everything, because you can share the same skin tone with somebody, but your cultures be totally different, right? So to see all that go on, it was good. It was just great. It was awesome to just see that event produce that many people that cared about what they were doing, and the diversity in the group was probably the biggest takeaway for me. The work stuff, the training stuff, cool, but to see that many people were out fighting for freedom was awesome.
That's awesome. I love it. How much time was in the classroom? If you guys 13 hours on the range on day 2, was that day 2?
Yeah, we went from 4 to from like 4 to 9:30, so about 5 hours give or take, with some breaks in between, food served while you were there. Jerah's going to, and that was another thing too. I will say this: you when you get together in rooms with people, you get to learn their different assets, their different attributes. And I'll tell people this: no matter who you are or what you do in life, you never, ever want to assume that you're the best at everything, right? I'm good at a lot of stuff. There are some things you got to really come with your A game to be better at me that. But that event put me in a lot of room with a lot of different people where I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the event. I'm looking out at the crowd. I'm like, just like I had all these speakers come in that know more than me in certain areas, that allowed me to look back at Jerah. And she did one simple thing. And you never know. I'm saying this because you never know what thing you'll do that gets somebody's attention. I've always admired Jerah. It's not a big deal. But she sat back in the back room and did something really, really sweet. And she ordered pizza for people, right? She has ordered pizza. Like, didn't really ask. She was like, yeah, you're going to eat. And I'm ordering some pizza, right? But all right, that's a nice thing to order pizza. We had food there. I'm like, no, see, that's not what really got my attention. What got my attention was she realized how long people had been sitting and when was the last time they ate, what was the amount of food they consumed. And so she took it upon herself to nourish them, to keep them up and keep them energized, keep them engaged and feed them. I'm like, all right. So when me and Kevin Reichert, who helped me out with this one, we were talking, he was like, yeah, I'm going to bring this guy in to kind of help with the heavy logistics because this guy deals with NRA show and SHOT Show, so he knows how to get big, huge events organized. And I'm like, yeah, but we're bringing Jerah on board too. And he's like, well, I said, yeah, I'm going to ask her to come on board because that's a skill set, right? People saw, oh, she's really sweet because she ordered pizza. I'm like, yeah, but she knew to order pizza. And what was her thought process to do that, right? So if you're in a room, you don't know what small thing you're going to do that gets people to notice you, right? So I would tell people that too. Carry yourself accordingly. Be who you are, but you never know who's watching you, and you never know what small thing you'll do that'll spark somebody's attention to say, that's somebody I need on my team. Hence the reason I called her, and she didn't really have an option. She would have said no. I would have just went to her house. She was going to do it, but now that she's doing it. So just that little nugget of information. Always. You never want to be the smartest person in the room, guys. Don't assume that you know everything. The reason why I'm blessed and in the position I am is because I deal with people that are brilliant at what they do. And that's one of the biggest things I try to tell individuals. Because we did have a couple of people that were like, oh, well, KD's going to teach me everything. And I'm like, the hell I am. Don't rely on me to teach you everything.
It's not a skill set. I'm telling you right now, when you got 50 people in a room and 40 of them are men and they haven't eaten in 5 hours, it just ain't going to end well. You got to feed these boys, and you got to you just got to get them fed, and that's all it was is, there were snacks out and stuff, but we had been going hard. We had been going really hard for about 4-ish hours, listening to really good people tell really good stories and give really good advice, solid advice that people would pay a lot of money for.
Yeah.
To hear from these people, you know what I mean? And the cost to get into this thing on the first year was really low. It's not going to happen that way again. And so it was just a thing about, and you always miss something. That's I do gun events for a living, right? And there's always, until it's the same event over and over again, and it becomes a well-oiled machine, you're going to miss something. And that was just one thing. It was just like, man, we need to eat something, That's all.
Yeah, I'm glad you spotted it though, because I'm telling you what, those pieces didn't even get through the door.
No,
They didn't even get through the door. But it was good. It was good. But it was a lot to take in. And to Jerah's point of pricing, you got those workshops, you got the workshops in the classroom, you got, and once again, you got people that make good money to do this. I think Carrie shared her 1 hour speaking price at roughly $600. That was just one person, right? And she spoke for 35 minutes. So if you prorate that, okay, that's $300 for that individual, what they charge to come out as a professional and speak to you. Well, if you take that one person, remember we had, 6 or 7 speakers, right? And then you had all the time on the range. So in 13 hours, you did a lot. We pushed you. Be a little bit different next year. But, I tell people all the time, now that's the bad thing about me as a trainer. And because people don't see me put up a ton of training videos, they're kind of like, all right, it's pretty easy. All right, no, I'll work you. And so I got choked out a little bit by a couple of people like, just not so hard next year. I'm like, all right, fine, I give. But between all the instructors, all the training, the workshops, the 2.5 days of information and sharing, you paid $150 for that.
It was only $150 to attend that event.
Only $150.
Because it was just Kevin was like, I want to see how this goes, and so we got really great value plus lodging. That didn't include lodging. But it was a really great resort and it wasn't that expensive. So it's now that there's a market for that. It's an event that really isn't being done. And if it's being done, it seems to only be being done for, people with larger followings to be able to create content. And so Kevin said, I want to be able to let people who aren't there yet get there. We need to teach them how to get there because we need more people that are there, okay, to be sharing this content about freedom. And it needs to be people that, it could be anybody, but we need more people of color. We need more women that are confident to speak about this, that are putting content out there so that they can network with some of these higher, more influential people so that they're going to share their stuff so that we can get them where they need to go and teach them how to create good stuff that people want to listen to, that people want to view.
For the classroom stuff, what was y'all's favorite topic or lesson that was presented inside the classroom?
I thought Reichard's was really good because he talked about how, he's done a lot of stuff for a few different companies like Lovesac, for one, who now is huge. He did a lot of marketing for them. I really enjoyed his presentation, and I loved Curtis's because I'm a big proponent of you better be researching what you put out on social media if you're trying to present it as fact. And his talk was really good from a scientific standpoint, from understanding, he really kind of was super intricate about, the anatomy of a firearm and how to tell the difference between, what's good and bad. And when you're doing a review, you really need to touch on, these are the points that real gun people are looking at. Like I'm going to present my review, I'm going to do it based on my audience, right? And a lot of my audience is women. And so when I review a firearm, I can't, it makes no sense for me to get super scientific about it because most women don't care about that. They want to know, is this a gun that a woman can easily and effectively shoot? That's what they want to know. But his people want to know, like, what's in that can and what makes it do what it does, and he can tell them that. And so he kind of was very good about saying, do your reviews based on your audience, but you really need to be able to determine fact from fiction. And here's how you do that.
That's awesome.
So my favorite, who's my favorite? I enjoyed all of them. I really did enjoy Curtis's as well. The Kevin's was good. I would say TJ's was really interesting with Tactical Shit. His was really interesting because he was being the media guy that he is, and he runs a lot of media businesses behind the scenes. For him to be telling you, like, this is how you spend media, this is how you control it. When they attack you, this is how you pivot and make it better. I think that's very important because your hit video, if you ever get one, even if it's just you talking, could be that viral piece. And if you go viral, expect some hate and expect it to try to be spun and, expect those things. I've been there several times, so I know it's important. So I think TJ's is really good on that education piece. I would say Dustin's was really good because he taught people how to maintain relationships, right? This is what you should do to maintain your relationships with companies when you get them. Like, how do you maintain it? How do you help them see you as an asset instead of just, somebody sticking their hand out for free merchandise or a check? David Workman was really, really good because he talked about what the companies are looking for, because a lot of people feel like they made it. Let's just be honest. They feel like they made it once they get a company to sponsor them. What does a sponsorship look like, though? What did they do? Send you a free gadget and that you talk about for the next 2 years that cost them $30? Like, what does that look like, right? So his insight to telling people this is what companies, and he's worked in big retail, like he used to be with New Balance. So he understands it from a large outside of the gun industry. Like, hey, this is what companies are looking for. I've done marketing for several large agencies and businesses. This is what they're looking for, and this is what you need to present. How to rate yourself and how to be honest about your value, right? So that was really important for people to hear and to understand how to attack it. And then I'm going to be a little biased and say that I think mine was something that probably hurt people's feelings, but they needed to hear. And it was basically mission over merchandise. Like, what are you here for? Are you here for mission? You're here for merchandise, right? If you're here to be the rock star of the 2A community, look cool, shoot the coolest guns, rock on. I mean, that's cool. Do you. But what's your mission? And if you don't have one, you need to be expecting different results, right? So if you're here strictly for the merchandise, do that. But if you are mission-based, even if your mission is just strictly 2A, if that's all you talk, then I need you to be purposeful about your mission and trying to let people know, stop worrying about the merchandise. It'll come. I'm a guy I just came in doing my thing. I didn't even think about corporate sponsorships and I didn't care. I didn't care about that. I came doing my thing. I had 363 followers on Instagram, 363 at the time. I had 3 corporate sponsors. And people ask me, one guy asked me, how in the world do you have sponsors and you don't even have 1,000, let alone 100,000 followers on IG? I said, because I wasn't chasing them. I was after my mission, right? And even having the goal to stand up and say, and I'm just trying to educate people, the goal to stand up and tell a company, don't, like now, because they know I could probably get their stuff seen, don't think about me working with you if you are not going to work with the community. If I can't call you to help me feed a family, don't call me to help sell your product. And stand on it. So what's your mission, right? Because if you're after the mission, if your mission is good, the merchandise will follow. Because a lot of people would think they're cool because, they want their success. They rate success. If 6 Hours sends you a gun for free, people never send you stuff for free, people. It's never free, okay? Just FYI, if you're hearing my voice, it is never free, okay? But that being said, if it didn't cost you money up front, and they get some from a company like 6 Hours, Smith & Wesson, or HK, or whomever, to them, they now achieve success. And you know what? In 3 years, you don't hear from them again. Why? Because it's not sustainable, right? But what does it look like to pursue a mission? Because if your mission is freedom, I can talk 2A. I don't need a gun, right? And your mission to carry you on, then the gun community will come after you instead of you chasing merchandise, just wanting people to send you a house full of stuff. And then you to go out and look like you're cool because they send you a house full of stuff. So getting people to realize that their mission, they're diluting their mission because all they're trying to do is chase merchandise. When in fact, if you pursue your mission, the merchandise will come. Ask anybody that's rich from starting a small business, if they've really made, and this is where I get this stuff from. I know a lot of millionaires, right? And we have really, really good conversations. And majority of them will tell you, I went after what I wanted. The money came later, right? I just went doing what I wanted to do. The money will find you. Same thing in the 2A stuff. So I'll get off that soapbox, but that was probably my favorite. I'm being a little bit biased, but I couldn't wait to tell people that because so many people want to be cool. I'm like, man, you're cool because of who you are and what you came in the world cool, right? You don't have to validate that because a manufacturer sent you a product, right? So helping them understand that, and then everybody else taught them how to make sure that you take that product and help make companies money. But I digress.
100%. 100%.
I love that. You came in the world cool. I'm gonna steal that one. Right ahead. What? I'm sure people want to talk or hear a little bit about guns.
Sure.
Let's talk about some of the. Were there any Gucci guns on the range? Were there any Gucci guns?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby. Well, first of all, the truth was there. But Jerah, go ahead. I don't know. Do I have a truth around me? I do. If you guys excuse me while she talks, I'll run and go get. Oh, actually, I can have one brought to me. Go ahead, Jerah.
Yeah, that was there. And then Corinne brought the John Wick, the Terran Tactical. What was that? What was the name of that gun?
Yeah, saw that.
That was the 2011. That was the STI Combat Master.
The Combat Master. I wanted to call it a Commander for some reason. But yeah, it was the Combat Master. I got to shoot that thing, and it went on forever. 22 rounds in the mag. Man, it was a beautiful gun. Almost no recoil. Super smooth shooting. Bless her for bringing that. There were some killer guns out there for sure. But the Combat Master was probably the one that I enjoyed shooting the most.
Was the yeet cannon there yet? Was that even a thing yet? Was the yeet cannon a thing?
Oh no, we weren't. It didn't have all the media hype it did. The YC9, no, I wasn't there.
Were there any failures? Any guns that didn't make it through the 13 hours on the range?
No. I think everybody's, unless an individual gun might have failed. Maybe I didn't see that. I mean, I did see a couple of guns go down, but they weren't guns there that were from sponsors. But I don't know if it was just simple oil or bad ammo. I mean, I couldn't call it, but nobody's gun had a catastrophic failure. Didn't make it to the event that I saw.
No.
I think, but there were a lot of cool guns. So Faxon was one of the title sponsors. Faxon and Enforce were the title sponsors. Faxon brought out a smorgasbord, man. Oh my God. So they brought out their Patriot and their Hellfire, the new pistols. Brought those out. People got to really shoot those. And they brought all the rifles and just showed off. That's all they were doing. Kurt and those guys just showing off at that point.
I missed that because I was in Corinne's workshop.
Thank you, sir.
Where she was teaching people who had been shooting for their whole life how to actually shoot. It was insane. There was like half the people there were just like gathered around this tent in the Midwest humidity, just listening to her actually teach you how to hold a gun. And there were men that were just like, I never knew this. It was the coolest thing ever. And then, and I loved the reactive targets that Triumph brought out.
Yeah, Triumph target systems.
Yeah, the bleeding targets. So they have these, they're silhouette targets, and they have these little cells that are full of it's a reactive liquid that kind of looks like blood. So there's cells in the head that represent the brain, cells in the lungs or in the chest, in the center mass area that represent the lungs and the heart. And that's what we did our draw from holster contest on were those reactive targets. It was really cool because you could see, where you were hitting, and it drew blood, and it made it like a lot more real. And I think I got 4th in the draw from holster contest, sir.
Oh, just a little plug there, just throwing it out there.
Just
okay. All right, first 4.
3 dudes and then me. So.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she's a little bit bragging there. I didn't participate. If I would have, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. But
right.
Who else we had? Triumph, other cool guns. Tactical Life had their AR takedown pistol out there. So Tactical Life had a really cool gun. Eagle Imports sent out several guns. Their guns were really nice. I think the most popular one of the Eagle Import was the MAC, and I'll forget what the acronym stands for, but it's a double stack 1911. That it's really, 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 really cool. that was a really cool gun. And so we had that out there. We had their BP9. We had even the Bursa 380, just to allow people to see different options out there, right? Because you got to be able to expose your audience to different options for them. Stop selling everybody. Nothing wrong with the company. I like Glock just like everybody else. Every gun is not a Glock. Every gun is not HK. Like, really get people out there understanding what the market is full of options.
Somebody had a Vickers Glock. Somebody had a Larry Vickers. Yeah.
What other cool companies? What other gun companies do we have send stuff? We had Enforce was another title sponsor, so we got to show off their lights on a lot of the platforms. I think that was and then Ken Scott had his Provectus Elite out, and if you ever want to see something really, really cool done to a Smith & Wesson, look up Ken Scott's Provectus Elite pistol, manufactured by Tier Industries. Their gun was out there. The Provectus Elite was really cool, and then it wouldn't have been an event if I didn't bring out the Truth. So the Truth is my signature gun, and of course I had it out there. And if anybody doesn't know what the Truth is, they're the first guns to fight gun control. And you have to, we won't have enough time on this show. It's a great Google, though, or a great YouTube lookup. Just simply type in Kevin Dixie, The Truth, and look at a few of those videos. It is the first guns to fight gun control, and here is one of them. This is the one. Actually, we haven't even started marketing this one yet. They come out standard in red and black. This is the newly released all black one. So it's for people that just like a smooth look. They don't like a lot of color, a lot of pop, which come to find out, a lot of people don't like colors on their guns. I didn't know that was a thing. But so this is the Truth. The original platform is a VP9. It's when you pick it up, it's completely different. So by law, I can no longer call it a VP9, so it's called the Truth. But I don't want to get a cease and desist letter. All right, but this is the Truth. So this gun was out there. I got people to run it. It comes encased in a very, very interesting story. The different versions that are available. But trust me, it's something you've never seen before. But that was out there. So yeah, you got to.
You unveiled it at SHOT Show, didn't you?
Yeah, I announced it at SHOT Show and unveiled it there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had it out at the event for people to see and shoot it and get the casework in and really do some videos with it and stuff like that. So yeah, there were definitely some Gucci stuff out there. There've been guns and some things to support the guns, like Jerah said, Triumph Systems. They also
I'm
had
shooting way more rifles next year.
Oh, rifles, yeah. Rifles are good. We're going to include a little bit more.
Yeah, I didn't shoot one rifle.
Really?
Some people had some good ones out there, and I just didn't get a chance to do it because I was trying to pay attention to too many things. The Mobilizer Rescue presentation was really good, too. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one was good. Kevin did a good job with that. We even had the pivot trainer out there. Rubber dummies sent out some targets, so we had the rubber dummies on display getting shot at. We had Proper brought their armor out, so you got to shoot at armor and shoot it till it failed. So there was some really cool stuff to be done. And then you had a lot of the people that just had really, really nice personal setups. You saw a lot of their cool stuff come out too, and most of the instructors, matter of fact, every instructor I saw let people shoot their guns. So even Dustin laid out a table, brought all his custom Springfields, and you got to shoot guns, see what's different about them. Corinne laid out several nice guns from Terran. Laid them out on the table. You got to shoot, you got to shoot guns that might cost $300. You got to shoot some guns that were like $3,000. So it was all in about. Next year you might get to shoot machine guns, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so the big shout out to all the companies that got involved. I mean, we had Metgar involved, the magazine company. You don't see a lot from them, but Metgar is a really, really big 2A company. So they jumped in and donated some mags. We gave some of those mags out. Breakthrough Clean jumped in and helped out with the event. We Forge and Freedom got all the T-shirts to us. We've had HK sent some things to give away. I know I'm going to forget people. We had a lot of 2A companies involved. Proper was involved. Triumph Systems. There were so many people. Tactical Life, Enforce, Faxon, obviously. Tactical Shit sponsored it, so he just didn't come speak. He actually helped sponsor the event as well. It was a lot of support from the industry side into this event. I would almost say, and then I wanted to show people too how to get non-industry related companies involved. So we had Killcliff, they're an energy drink company. They also make some other kind of health nutrition drinks, ran by a couple of SEAL guys. They sent down some nice stuff. We got Can Cooker involved. They're an outdoor company, but I got them involved. So Can Cooker jumped in and got involved. So just really, really mixing it in. Now, I will tell you, that was probably even easier than getting the people to attend, which wasn't difficult, was telling the companies. Like, I'd be 30 seconds into the pitch and they're just like, just waiting on you to shut up so I can say yes. You know what I'm saying? So we had a lot of different companies involved, man. They're all shared and tagged properly on social media. And it was good. It was good. And I think the reason why you're seeing so much content come was from one thing that I know that I pushed people hard to do, even while we were there. The last day was kind of set up as the more relaxed day, right? It's when you got to shoot the toys, kind of just take your time. It was for you to be able to create content. But on top of creating that content, I wanted to see people do collaborations. Go over and do a video with Curtis from VSO. Go talk to Sean from We Like Shooting. Do videos with Tony Simon. Ask me for videos. Mix it up, people. You're not going to be around these people again for a while. And so you saw people running all around the place, creating that content together, right? So you're from Florida. I'm from Washington State. Not going to see each other for quite a while, but getting that content out there. So people get to know you, they get to know me, and they get to see how we both share a passion for what we do, even if we look totally different, if we come from different cultures or whatever the case may be. So it was really good, man. The industry really did jump behind that. So it was such a good event. If you've, Jerah, which I know you plan events all the time with gun stuff, but we couldn't get for like Faxon and Enforce, take those two guys, for example, as they were the title sponsors. I wasn't done with the event before they said, essentially, we're in next year or you die. So your choice, right? All right. So
there was a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. To have them like right on board, and other companies reaching out like, yo, why wasn't I invited? I'm like, I don't know, man. I think it'll be your cup of tea. Don't make that mistake next year. I want in. So it was pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. We'll have a bunch of cool stuff out there. And we gave away stuff too. So Faxon gave away a gun. All right. So Faxon gave away a gun. Tactical Life gave away a AR lower. And Canic, I'm sorry, I go remiss. Canic was also involved. So big shouts out to Century Arms, the Canic division jumped in and they sent out a gun for demo and they sent out a gun for giveaway. And the giveaways were done a little bit differently than any other thing you've ever been to. Normally giveaways are done based off raffle tickets or, stuff like that. Breakthrough Clean sent a bunch of stuff to give away. Metgar sent magazines to give away. I mean, you left, Proper sent stuff. You left literally the way that the giveaways work, just the standard giveaways. You literally left with more value in the giveaways the very first night you got there than you paid to attend the event. Essentially, we paid you to come. Really, we did. Then the gun giveaways, though. So Faxon gave away a gun, Tactical Life gave away a lure, and Canic gave away a gun. But we chose the winners of those guns based off their work ethic. It didn't mean nobody else worked. It didn't mean anybody was lazy. It just meant that we were looking for the people that were pumping, and the guns were given out. So it's not a discredit to anybody that didn't win. Like the Mike who won the Faxon gun. Faxon was on the board of approval essentially to choose who got their product, and they just liked the kid's hustle. They liked his heart, right? So they chose him to walk away with their firearm. So it was a lot of stuff out there. We did not announce guns being given away until I think like the week of the event, and I did that on purpose because I didn't want people showing up just to try to win free crap.
Exactly.
But that was a good time, man. And another thing about training too, before I forget, a little nugget about training. One of the individuals that attended the training had never attended formal training before. So we're there for a workshop, it's professional development, et cetera, et cetera. Part of what we did was develop you as performers with a gun. Take your training important, people. He had never been in any professional training before, even though he worked in the gun industry for a long time. He had never been in professional training. That was his first time coming to an event where they had professional training. Not 12 hours after he left the event. Not 12 hours. He still had on the same clothes on his drive home from the event. He stopped. He had a buddy riding with him from the event. He stopped and picked up his son en route to go see his lady. So not 12 hours later, with the same clothes on, had to defend his life.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, and he credited the training that he received there with helping save his life, which is, not too many instructors or, organize. I don't think there's been an organizer of a professional development, course that they could probably be credited with that. That was, it was deep. It was
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. He went suburbs out right outside of Chicago, essentially, but right outside of Chicago. He went home. Not 12 hours later, had his 5-year-old son with him. like I said, still same clothes he had on when he left. Well, we went and had dinner that night too. That was the thing. He sat down with a few of us. We had dinner after the event, right before he got on the highway to go home. And I get up the next day, and he's calling me because, you know, I helped talk him through some things. He's calling me and it's like, yo, this happened. And, you know, he had to wind up in defense of himself and his son, because the guy took shots at him. He didn't know him. It wasn't like a personal conflict. Dude was just, the guy was essentially just on a rampage to kill some random person that day. That's just the way he felt. And Mike happened to be the random person that he was going to attack. And he drew a firearm, took shots at him and his son. But Mike had just came from training, still had that stuff ingrained in his brain. He returned fire that was effective, and bad guy lost his life. And Mike got to keep the life of him and his son. So.
Wow. I did not know that. That is insane.
Yep. So people, take it serious. All right. And look, I've been training for a lot of years. I've had people that I've trained get into gunfights. I've had it happen. It wasn't new to me. But this year alone, all right, and which I was even texting other professionals in the industry myself, but this year alone, I've had 4 people that I was involved in their training in some type of way. A couple of them, I've been the only trainer they've come to. Other people a little bit mixed in. I've had 4 students this year take lives.
My God.
All right. So, and good shoots. We're not talking bad stuff. We're talking good stuff. They got to go home. Bad persons, going wherever they go. And it's because it's important. So that never, as long as I've been doing this, never happened. This year, as far as people dying, this year alone, 4 of them, all within a 2-month span. So take it serious. All right, take it serious. But that train and learn event, yeah, it is still a training event. And one of the students, great armorer, knows his guns, just never went to any kind of formal training, and not 12 hours later.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
All right, and what has he done since then? Kudos to him. He came to that event, saved his life immediately after. He came right back down to Missouri to take a class from me. So we went through 16 hours of training 2 weeks ago. He jumped in 2 of my classes. So he spent the weekend down training with me. The weekend before that, he was down at Tactical Response. And then he came right back down to the Tactical Response Alumni Weekend to do more training. So now he's going because he realized how important it is.
And if anybody wants to get his perspective on that self-defense shooting, he did an episode with We Like Shooting where he actually talked about the event in detail. Yeah, it's a really good episode. It's not episode 171. So it's not that far back. It's I think 5 weeks ago or so.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a really eye-opening account of what it was like. And I think he did the interview, I want to say within a week of it happening. It was pretty soon after the actual incident that he went in and he described and talked about what happened. Not facing any legal consequences or anything like that. It's a good shoot. I believe he attempted to render first aid, but then he just wasn't able to. Because check it out though. Check it out on the We Like Shooting podcast. It was a great episode.
I'm gonna go back and look at it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think we have at least another hour or two worth of stuff that we can talk about, but I would like to give y'all your evening back, and our listeners and viewers their evening back. It sounds like you both have a ton of stuff going on. Kevin, we'd love to have you on talking about aiming for the truth and any of your firearm courses that you're teaching. Same thing with you, Jerah. I know you have a range that you're opening up here in the next few weeks, and we look forward to.
We'll get back on before the opening, and I'll tell you all about it. Maybe I'll do this from the facility and give you guys like a walkthrough or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Kind of give everybody an inside look at what it takes to actually open up a gun range. Mm-hmm. Just can't dig a berm in your backyard, believe it or not. There's stuff that goes into it. And it sounds like it's going to be one of Dallas's largest indoor shooting facilities.
It's not going to be the largest, and that's on purpose. We weren't going for big; we were going for quality. So you'll have to excuse me. I was in a car accident last week, and my neck is killing me. Oh. So that's why I had to lay down, but. Yeah, it's going to be super great. We've hired some amazing staff, and we wanted to bring quality to the DFW area, and I think we're really going to be able to do that. And if you want to go check it out, it is www.texasgunexperience.com.
And then everything else is under Clearing the Chamber that you're into and that you're involved with?
Yeah, all my social medias are at Clearing the Chamber. And then Texas Gun Experience is on Instagram. On Facebook right now, we're DFW Shooting Sports because that's the retail space that's been open for 40 years, and we're just expanding it out into the range and changing the name. So at some point, we're going to change the Facebook over to Texas Gun Experience, but right now it's DFW Shooting Sports.
Awesome. And Kevin, it's nootherchoice.net, correct? Is your website?
Yeah, that website will, forewarning, that one will be getting reconstructed from now until I believe August 31st is when it will be completed. So it'll be changing a lot really, really soon. But to reach me, it's relatively easy. You can look up Kevin Dixie. You can also look up NOC Firearms channel if you're on YouTube, NOC Firearms Training if you are on Facebook. You can also look up KD of NOC, just my initials of NOC. And on Instagram, that's for all platforms. And then on Instagram, the main one I use on Instagram is a little bit different. It's _real_NOC. That's _real_NOC. And a little tidbit of information for individuals. Sometimes you have to play the game to really get your message out there. So because I speak on a lot of different topics and get involved in a lot of different things, sometimes something as simple as your title, depending on what market you're going into, can make you make adjustments. So I used to be NOC Firearms Training on Instagram until a couple weeks ago. And through some research and through some smart individuals, I realized that I was being shadow banned. First, I thought that was like a conspiracy theory, like kind of like aliens are standing on top of your house or whatever. But come to find out, it's a real thing. And that was because I was getting cut out of a lot of conversations and a lot of feeds because of firearms simply being in my title. Right. So I had to make that adjustment. That way I can get into more of the rooms that I know I need to be in and have more of the conversation. So, but yeah, reach out, follow. That stuff is always appreciated. And I'm more than willing to come back on and look for me to show up down there at that new fancy range that this lady has built. And maybe I'll be doing a class down there. Maybe not. You might want to stay in touch with them to figure that stuff out. I want to figure that out.
I have you come down.
Hey, who makes the holster for the Truth?
That is made by 77 Solutions here out of St. Louis, Missouri. So he custom makes those holsters because there are standard holsters for people that just want a holster. And then there's the option. The holsters are additional, and there's the option to get. And I wish I would have had one with me. They're around somewhere. You can get the holsters wrapped in the original newspaper when the incidents happened. All right. So, for instance, the Tulsa, Oklahoma one, the incident that we talk about, that holster is actually wrapped in the original newspaper, so you can actually read the story off of the holster.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
He had a great presentation at the Learn event too. 77 holsters.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what. Yep, I forgot about that. Yep, he came out and taught you how to make holsters, to what you look for in a holster, why you should carry what. Like, yeah, it was good.
That's awesome. And if you're wondering if you can get one of those limited edition holsters with the newspaper wrap, they're only available if you purchase the Truth. So if you see somebody with that holster, you know that they also have the Truth firearm. So make sure you guys get over there and check these guys out. Clearing the Chamber, Kevin Dixie on No Other Choice Firearms Training, everything that they're doing, aiming for the truth. The Second Amendment is much more than just guns. Okay. Yep. It's the freedoms that those firearms allow us to keep and maintain. So get more involved with stuff that isn't just going to the range and shooting, and aiming for the truth and Wade. Those are two great programs to get behind. We definitely appreciate you guys giving us your time. Remember, it's your anytime, and we look forward to having you both on again anytime y'all would like. I'm going to try to end this now without doing anything crazy, but it's your life, it's your safety and protection, it's your responsibility. See you guys next week.
See you later.
See you later.
Man, we really hope you enjoyed listening to that episode as much as we did interviewing and having our guests on. Be sure to share this with your friends and family and head over to patreon.com/afteractionproject. We'd love to have you on as a guest panelist, and be sure to check out those other rewards that we have for our Patreons.
If you're a recent graduate of a firearms-related training course and would like to join us on our show, or if you'd like us to review a specific firearm-related training course or instructor, shoot an email to show@afteractionproject.com. Remember to join a local firearms advocacy organization. As always, stay safe, shoot straight, and remember to secure your firearms so that unauthorized persons cannot gain access to them.